Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday podcast. I'm so fired up for today. We got Josh Kersh back on this bad boy.
Hey.
Yes.
Hello.
This is so awesome. Episode 17. This is the first guest that we've had on the video version of the podcast. If you're listening to this, go check it out on YouTube at the BTYE podcast YouTube channel. Jenna, how you feeling over there?
I think I'm dying.
Why are you dying?
I started a new workout program, and I just finished it about 30 minutes ago, and it's legit.
Good. Adaptation. I like it.
Yeah, I need a brace or something to support myself during this podcast. It was a core day.
I like it. Guys, before we dive into the show, if you leave us a honest review on iTunes, whether it's positive or negative, let us know if we suck. We're good with that. If you drop that review and drop me a line at MattLaneFitness@gmail.com, we will send you a BTYE podcast t-shirt. Although I guess if it's a negative review, you probably don't want a t-shirt. Regardless. We had Josh on in a previous episode, sort of talking about his story, his process, his evolution, which was... It gives me goosebumps to think about it. I loved it.
And let me just interject
for
a second.
Sure.
That t-shirt offer is good until October 16th of 2019.
Every time. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it.
All right, back on track.
Yes. So we had Josh on previously to talk about his story, his evolution, and Josh and I have been hanging out. He's been teaching me the ways of strength and powerlifting, and we've had these like awesome conversations around strength and fitness and ideations and all this stuff around fitness, and we wanted to have him back on to talk about strength and functionality. And we just want to see where this conversation goes, and I'm super excited about it. But before we dive into it,
hey,
we're going to hit you with the gratitude point. At the top of every show, we hit you with a gratitude point, something that we find either very, very big or very, very small that we're grateful for. It gives us beautiful perspective. And I'm going to put you on the spot, brother. If you have one, gratitude point.
Man, life. Thankful for another day. We recently lost Franco Columbo.
Sucks.
Last week, yeah, man. Swimming, like...
What a way to go out.
So random.
Yeah, like, I mean, he wasn't super old. He was, still fairly in shape. He was freaking Franco Columbo.
He was a chiropractor. So if anybody that's out there that does not know who is Franco Columbo, he is Arnold Schwarzenegger's best friend, lifting partner. They competed together. They pushed each other. They came to America together and started their lives. Franco was in movies. He was in cameos. I mean, he was really, really big in the bodybuilding world, and he was a power lifter. He was actually stronger than Arnold.
Yes, he was actually the first quote unquote power builder. I mean, he was he was a competitive bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder, and then competed in powerlifting, sanctioned meets.
Yeah.
He was probably the first, he was a pioneer back in the day.
Yeah.
But, just thankful for another day, man. Like, I woke up this morning, thankful for that, honestly.
Macro. I love it.
Yeah.
Hit us with yours. Get it.
Hey, it's my turn.
Yes, it is.
So going back to me feeling like I'm dying, I've been putting off downloading this app and doing this workout for like a year. And I decided a couple of days ago to just suck it up and download it and start this workout program. And it's tough, but I've done 2 days of it. I'm still alive. And I'm sucking it up.
Good. Suck it up, Buttercup. You've been saying that lately.
Yeah.
It's your version of toughen the fuck up.
Yeah, because I give into that weak Jenna mindset quite often. Like I'll decide to do something, be really motivated, and then nearly immediately be like, oh no, it's too tough. It's too hard.
That higher self, lower self thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So day 2, one day at a time.
Well, mine's kind of macro. I'm at my absolute happiness when I'm here, when I'm doing this, when I'm with you, when I'm around you, when I am with my people. What I'm doing right now, I've won. Like, It's pivotal. Like, it's the absolute pivotal point of my happiness. And I hope that you can do the same thing. I hope that you can find your pivotal happiness point. And I'm at it. And I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't have realized that a few years ago, that this is why I'm happy.
Yep. To quote The Office, I wish you knew they were the good old days when they were happening.
Yeah, I wish somebody should write a song about that. That's so funny. It's true. I wish you, what was it? What was the exact line? I wish you knew you were in the good old days when you were actually in them.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Good old beautiful. Andy.
I think Kevin should sing it though.
Yes.
That would be great.
You gotta get him to sing it.
So we all sort of have our own little pieces of this strength and functionality that we want to talk about, but we're just going to let this conversation roll. So let's dive into it. I mean, where do you want to start, Josh? You're the expert in this authority.
And I am far from being an expert. I just have a very mild grasp.
You know more than me,
okay,
right?
Yeah,
you know more than her, so you are the
certainly more than me.
You are the authority figure here.
I don't know. I'm a student of the game. We talked about this the last time we lifted. Like that's why I'm so passionate and have so much knowledge about this. Is I constantly try to learn. Like I watching videos on YouTube constantly. I'm reading anything I can get my hands on. Like I need to learn all about strength and functionality.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people try to separate the two. So people think there's strength and then there's functionality, and that sometimes they can't really be correlated or connected, but they really can. One benefits the other simultaneously. They work together. You can't be strong and not be functional. I mean, you can be, but you're going to be very static.
You think you're going to shortchange yourself?
Yeah, you're going to get really tight and not be able to move and not be able to be flexible or go through your day-to-day stuff easily. Your quality of life is not going to be as good as it could be if you were functional, if you were a little more mobile, if you could do
makes sense
certain functional things.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's see. So typically functionality is thought of as like HIIT or full body, whereas strength is thought of as like the gym bro split.
And the HIIT, for anybody who doesn't know, high intensity interval training. So CrossFit style, timed type stuff.
And that was another point. Functionality is also thought of as CrossFit, which yes, some of the moves are the same. So sandbag carries or pull-ups, push-ups, certain bodyweight movements for time. But CrossFit is more of a competitive theme to it. So even if you're not, in the games or competing for the games, if you're just in your local box, your local CrossFit gym, it's a group style competition. Mm-hmm. It's scaled per person. So
bring it to you.
Mine would be
get all up in it.
Mine would be a little harder than say Jenna's or even say Matt's if we're in a different weight class or something like that. Sure. But it's functionality isn't CrossFit where functionality can be for time. It can be for rounds. You can do certain types of movements, in your workout that would be a full body workout, considered a full body HIIT, circuit style workout, and it still not be CrossFit. So you're not doing, clean and jerks, snatches, running for miles on end for time, for rounds.
Well, and, on that, so I've started lifting with Josh, and he's coming up on a competition, so things are going to be getting tighter here, and I won't be lifting with him as much. But after about a month and a half from now, we're going to sort of dive in together. And the first day that we went and actually deadlifted with the idea of strength in mind, because all I've ever done is like hypertrophy, bodybuilding, HIIT type stuff, just trying to look pretty. I didn't really think about the realm of strength and cardiovascular endurance, and because you see these strong men or these power lifters, and most of them are like gigantic dudes, like they're really, really, really big dudes, and you look at them and you're like, are you in shape? Are you not in shape? When they could really pick up a house. Mm-hmm. But I was very surprised with how much I was sweating, even with having very long periods of breaks in between.
And it's a big joke in the fitness world is powerlifters don't do cardio,
right?
And that's 100% true.
Right. Yeah.
I don't do cardio.
Right.
You will never catch me on a treadmill. You will never if I'm running for any reason, I'm out of ammo and you should probably fucking run too. Straight up. Okay. But you put, kind of going off like percentages of your one rep max or your maximum effort attempt.
Yeah.
You put 75 to 80% on the bar, do it for a double or possibly a triple.
Yeah.
Your heart is pounding.
Yeah.
I mean, you get done, you get the bar off you and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
It was taxing.
Let alone you're in a hypertrophy strength block or hypertrophy block in your training and you've got sets of 8s or 9s or 10s, 12s possibly. That's, dear God.
Yeah.
You are sweating, your heart is pounding. Yeah, you may not be in quote unquote good cardiovascular shape, what the general population thinks of. So yeah, you probably couldn't run a 5K or a marathon, but your heart is still healthy, is still pumping, is still cardiovascularly healthy in a medical standpoint.
Right. And I think when people think is like the health part of cardio, it's if you run, you're healthy.
Yes.
If you don't run, you're not healthy.
Yes.
But like I truly believe that you can get cardio in even through powerlifting. And this is from my
100%.
ignorant standpoint
100%.
that holy hell, like you were sweating your ass off that day. Like you were sweating. That's not new. Like that's been happening.
No, that's every single workout,
right.
every single day. And it's like, it's not just me. That's like the powerlifting. Now true. You can eat cheeseburgers for every meal and eat like crap and have a terrible, terrible diet and put on body fat and look like your stereotypical powerlifter. But if you have and I have about a 70 to 30% clean to unclean, whatever, nutrition plan or meal plan.
Well, and at the end, like you have a very good physique. Like you really do.
Around so I walk around at 12 to 15% body fat.
Yeah,
and yearly, day to day, and I don't try.
And how tall are you?
6 foot, 6'1" on a good day.
Right. And we talked about that in the last podcast. I remember you saying with my Nikes on.
What's the average for a power lifter? Is it much higher than that?
I mean, that's hard to say.
Well, that was the interesting thing about Franco Colombo. I mean, he was shorter than me. I think he was under 5'8", wasn't he?
He was like 5'6",
like soup, but just nothing but muscle.
It was a fridge. I mean,
he was
solid.
Yeah. So, in that, like, that was something that we were talking about. What do you think dictates, like Eddie Hall, and is it Eddie Hall?
Eddie Hall. Yeah.
Eddie Hall, and like all of the top 5 or 6. Why are they so much bigger? Okay.
We're looking at a different sport.
So that is a different piece.
It's a different sport. It's still strength though.
Okay.
So I mean, you can classify that in the same thing. Strongmen do bench, squat, dead. It may be a different variation. So they may be deadlifting, a tractor instead of a barbell.
Right.
But it's it's the same thing. You will never be as strong as you could potentially be being low body fat.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes total sense.
Weight pushes weight.
Yeah.
The strong men have to eat so much. They have to be so big. They have to have such a high percentage of body fat, or to a certain degree that's still within a healthy, functional means to be able to perform. But a 180-pound, 185-pound person is never going to be a strong man because of the body fat.
Right.
Because of the size.
But if you looked at it and you were like, all right, I don't like, because the strongmen, they do not give a crap what they look like. Nope. There is zero interest at all. It's 100% performance. Mm-hmm. So if let's say that you were going to be a strongman, like you would just start eating in abundance and like caloric surplus.
Yes. And Eddie Hall actually is a perfect example.
Yeah.
You look at, so the top 4 strongmen in the world, Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, Zydrunas Zaviscus,
which he's like number 1, right?
He's probably the strongest man in history,
right?
With all
he's
the
ridiculous.
Titles, and then Hafthor Bjornsson, you can't, you got to mention Hafthor.
Yeah.
But Eddie Hall started out as a competitive swimmer.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, dude. When he was a kid, like 10 to 15, something like that. He was a swimmer.
What's the documentary? I watched
Eddie Hall Strongman.
That's what it was. Nailed it. It's on Netflix. That's why I know about him.
Watch it.
Well
worth a watch.
It's good.
But yeah, and he then got into powerlifting, did a couple meets, and then found strongman and realized like, okay, I'm not gonna be. And he's my height. Like he was around my size.
Really?
6 foot, like 180, 200 pounds. Lean guy but strong. And then wanted to get into strongman. Wanted to be the strongest man in the world. Realized you will never be the strongest man in the world.
Yeah.
At 180, 200 pounds. Like you have to be 300, 400 pounds.
In your words, so before we hopped on the podcast, Jenna said, you're feeding a machine. That's 1,000% what it is. You're feeding a machine. you're eating for performance. You're not eating for physique. So interesting concept.
No. And that's, I mean, most powerlifters don't care about their physique, if we're being honest, especially like, the over 200 plus, like the super heavyweights. Like you look at Ray Williams, like Big Ray, he doesn't give a shit if he's got a six pack. The man squats 1,000 pounds raw.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care.
And raw means you don't have wraps. You don't have
reps,
nothing like that.
Sleeves and you got a belt on.
Yep.
Basically what you see in the gym every day, what, anybody has in their regular gym bag.
Right. But do you care at all about your physique, or do you care more about the performance? Because the first time we lifted, like we had talked about how I sort of have this pretty boy type of lifting. That's who I am. That's what I've always done.
You are pretty.
Well, and I don't say that, and I don't say that to put myself down. Like, yeah, I've worked really hard and I've got some damn good photos out of it. Like, I got pride in that, but I'm ready to learn something new. So I say that at the end of our session, you were like, all right, let's see what we got. We took our shirts off and flexed, and I was like, this is so great. This is like melting into both worlds. So like, that's another reason that I'm so drawn to you, is that you do have, some care of your physique. So do you feel like you go back and forth, or what's the deal?
So, I mean, like I used to be big, like I came from being fat. So once I got in shape and could see abs, I was like, I don't really want to let those go. Like I kind of like them. I kind of like being strong too.
Sure.
So for me personally, and I truly feel like this is for everyone across the board. Unless you're wanting to be a strong man, or you're wanting to set, certain type of records, your body is going to find a weight that's comfortable for you, whether you're active or inactive.
Sure.
So active, obviously, it's going to be a little bit higher because the muscle's going to be there, going to be burning body fat. You're going to be, you're going to need a little bit more weight, quote unquote. It will be healthy weight because it's muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat.
Right.
But your body's going to find that homeostasis type body weight for you.
Sure.
My personal homeostasis body weight is around 180 to 200 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a 20-pound gap. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend to any of my clients, like, hey, chill around 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But I compete in different weight classes. I have to have kind of that different.
It's different.
Yeah, exactly. But you'll find your weight that kind of feels comfortable for you. For me, 180, 200 pounds. Once I found that, I was like, all right, I'm not going to get fat again. I don't care if that means I'm not going to be as strong as I could potentially be. I want to stay in this 20-pound gap and see how far I can progress in that. John Hack, he's a lifter out of Illinois. It's the number one 181-pound lifter in the world. Just totaled 2,000 pounds raw.
And what that means is you have 3 different lifts: the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. Equaling all of those lifts, the most amount of weight that he lifted was that number.
2,000 pounds, yes.
That's unbelievable.
Raw at 181.
That's unbelievable. That's 20 pounds more than me lifting. That's unbelievable.
So, why would I not want to stay aesthetically pleasing and just get stronger on that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could potentially total 2,500 if I went up to 300 pounds, but I don't want to do that.
And that's the point. It's what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So diving back into the training side of it, one of the first things I brought to Josh was, hey, I'm looking at this program 531. I'm looking at this program 753, which is by Matt Ogus, sort of a blend of power. It's power building basically. But because I'm so ignorant to the sport, I don't know. I was just like, this is where I'm starting, and dive into that. Tell me the misconceptions, I guess, on this 531, which is considered the gold standard of powerlifting.
So I feel like 531 was written for the gen pop.
Okay.
I feel like if you are new to the sport, you are very uneducated in powerlifting, you don't know anybody. Yeah.
It's a fair benchmark to start at if you have 0 people around you to help you.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's nothing super crazy heavy wise. Like you find your 1 rep max and then you do a workout based on that. And it's all off a website. It's free. It's
right. But it can be and is being done in a much better way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
not 531.
So in a perfect world, you would run 531 for 3 weeks, deload, and then your lifts are just going to go up.
Okay.
So your total, everything, your maxes, everything is going up.
And a deload, if you don't know, is basically a week that you take to deload the weights. You decrease the percentage or volume of what you're doing.
You're helping your central nervous system recover so you can progress further. Because no matter how good the training is, how good the nutrition is, if the recovery is not there, everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Like you have to recover.
Right.
And the only way you recover is sleep.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
You don't recover laying on the couch, watching TV, watching Netflix, just hanging out. Oh, I'm relaxing. Yeah, you're relaxed, but you only recover when you sleep. That's when your body rebuilds everything you just broke down in the gym, because that's what you're doing in the gym when you're lifting weights is you're breaking down muscle. You're tearing it, you're shredding it, you're destroying the muscle.
Yeah.
Just to get rebuilt when you sleep.
To grow back and rebuild.
So for all you people out there that are lifting and trying to exercising, trying to lose weight and nothing's happening, sleep more.
Yeah.
Like sleep more.
So basic, but true.
It'll help. Promise you.
That recovery piece.
Promise
The recovery
you.
piece. All right. We've been ruling it. So go ahead. I know you want to jump in here.
Oh, I did have a couple questions for you. So for those of you who are not specifically interested in this topic, thank you, by the way, for sticking with us so long. I think there's some universal principles that we've kind of touched on here that don't necessarily only apply to powerlifting.
There's nuances for everyone, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for those of you watching and listening that aren't specifically interested in powerlifting, I think that, you can still take away from this conversation.
Absolutely.
Something that you said specifically is that you got to find your own homeostasis.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not look exactly like the quintessential power lifter, and that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Because you do you.
Because
Exactly.
that's you.
Yeah.
That's
like
you.
I could give a shit if I don't look like everybody. Like, hello, yo, I got a hat on. It's if like I have a crazy haircut, I got a beard, like tattoos, like I don't give a shit
Right.
what people think about me.
Right.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
So if I don't fit the stereotypical mold of a powerlifter, that's fine. I take my shirt off and I look better than the stereotypical powerlifter.
There you go.
Right.
I'm good. I have visible quads. I have visible abs. I'm
Yeah.
vascular. I'm not on gear. So
Yeah.
any kind of performance enhancing drug to make me look this way.
Right.
It's
all you.
diet, exercise, and recovery.
It's just hard work.
That's it.
Yep.
It's very simple.
Yep.
Yeah. And so my question specifically, I know I hear from competitors, like aesthetic competitors and that sort of thing, that it's really, that leading up to competition is really just a total mind bender. Like, do you feel that way too with powerlifting? Because you're not
100%.
Really?
necessarily okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was curious.
Oh my God.
Because it's less, you're judging
if not
the
more so.
the weight and
If
not
not
the
more
look.
so,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, let's say you're a bodybuilding competitor. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, you can say, well, fuck the judge. He just didn't like me.
Oh, there's an escape. Ooh.
Yeah.
He was prejudiced. He didn't like blue-eyed guys named Matt.
Right.
His wife slept with Matt one time.
Right.
And now I just hate all Matts.
So there's politics. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas in powerlifting, hello,
He didn't lift.
you didn't pick it up, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, that
you
makes
can't
sense.
you can't put that on anybody other than you. And like,
Yeah.
in
That's true.
being in competition is 100% different. Like the mindset's different, the environment, everything is different. You're using kilo plates other than pounds. Kilo plates are their own animal, their own monster, and like nothing is worse than being at a meet and lifting less than you can lift.
Yeah. But I find that beautiful though, because that's 1,000% on you. And like you just said, like there is no scapegoat. So when you said sort of the mind fuck that it is, like when it comes to physique or bodybuilding competitions, like when you said that, I immediately thought of the detrimental, like the negativity that comes from it, the environment of that. And we've talked about this a little bit. It's just, I feel for me, it's a negative, toxic area that I'm not interested in. However, the powerlifting side, all I've ever seen on the internet and on TV, but all I've ever seen is it's everybody's just pushing everybody. And sure, there's competition and, I want to beat that dude.
Yeah.
But it's you versus
family.
but it's you versus you rather than, man, like he's not nearly as dry as he should have come in. He's not nearly as, it's just,
Yeah, because I mean, even if we're in the same weight class and at a meet,
Yeah.
like it's still me versus the weight. Like we're competing against each other, but it's not. I'm not being judged by a person.
it's not subjective.
And kind of to retrace to the mind state thing. When you were competing and you're cutting down on body fat, you're limiting sodium, you're limiting your water intake, carbs, you start messing with everything. Your brain starts your hormones are all over the place.
Oh, dude.
And it takes months after a competition to get back to homeostasis.
Yep.
If potentially ever. Like you're doing drastic things.
Unhealthy things.
1000%. To the composition of your brain, to how it releases certain chemicals throughout the body. Like you're messing with all that. And it's more, I don't want to say powerlifting is harder than bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is probably the hardest thing one person could ever physically do.
Sure.
It's insane to go through a complete prep to get on stage. I think it's more personally mentally mind-fucking, if that makes sense, for the strength aesthetic or part of it, because I'm not messing with chemicals in my brain as I'm getting prepped for this meet, whereas I would be for a show.
So what does a prep look like now that you're how many weeks out?
6 weeks.
So what does that prep actually look like?
So I'll go through 5 weeks of a strength block.
Okay.
Basically heavier weight for a couple reps. Like today's workout, let's see here, trusty old coach. I've paused high bar squats and then incline bench. So accessory lifts that I would do that aren't on the competitive side.
Okay.
So I don't high bar squat in competition, and you don't incline bench in competition. You flat bench, that's across the board.
Right.
And I personally low bar squat. So these are accessory lifts to help me on my actual lift.
And a low bar and high bar squat is basically the difference in where the bar is positioned on the upper part of your back.
Not only the positioning of the bar, but the muscles used in the recruitment of getting the weight up.
Because if the bar is higher up, it's going to, as you travel down, it's going to push you down farther.
No. You use different muscles. So a high bar squat is typically more quad dominant.
Okay.
Low bar squat is typically more glute and hamstring dominant.
Okay.
You're limiting your range of motion. You're limiting the angles at which you would go down. So it involves different types of muscles.
Okay.
You're still using your legs, obviously, but high bar, definitely more
just
quads.
a little bit recruitment differences. Yes. All right, keep going. I'll cut you off. Go ahead.
So I like this week one getting into like officially prep, high bar squats, incline bench. Tomorrow I've got some sumo deads, which is what I compete in. I probably won't go back to a conventional deadlift until after I'm done with this competition. Okay. Just because I got to get my body used to pulling sumo all the time. Okay. And then a fourth day, I had a SBD day yesterday, squat, bench, deadlift day yesterday. All right. And then day 4 is a low bar squat, pause bench, which pause bench is basically a competition bench, because in competition, the bar has to fully stop on your chest. Oh. The weight has to stop moving before that judge gives the press command. Okay. So for everybody in the bench, it's like, oh, I can bench 4 or 5, and they're like,
let it sit there. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Control it down, hold it, press. That counts as a bench press.
Boy, boy.
Not the 6 inches away from the chest or like bouncing it up. That shit counts now. All right. And then some accessory moves to go on with that. Everything accessory I do is going hand in hand with the main lifts. Okay. So like I do face pulls to help my traps, because the trap is what helps the deadlift. Okay. Part of my deadlift workout this week, I have to do my top sets and my heaviest set of deadlifts. I have to do a 3-second hold on the last lift. So pick the weight up and hold it to help with grip strength. My grip was fucking up a couple weeks ago, had a couple issues with it. Mm-hmm. Now we're working on grip strength. So everything I do from this point leading up is for that prep. That prep is for that meet. Okay.
And your nutrition?
Yeah, what does the nutrition side look like? Okay.
See, I'm different. This is gonna piss it pisses my girlfriend off a whole lot.
You get to eat more.
I get to eat more, and I can cut out like 1 or 2 things, and I drop weight like
really.
Super quick.
Do you think that's because it's such high output? You think it's such high output, and obviously genetics, the way your body type, all that.
Yeah. It's genetics play a lot with it. I'm not genetically gifted by any means, but genetics do play a good role in it. But yeah, just the amount of workload you're putting on your body burns so many calories.
That makes sense.
A lot of stuff happening at one time.
That makes sense.
But nutrition for me, at least, or for this meet, and it'll kind of taper off. I have to speak with my nutritionist next week. So when I'm 5 weeks out, it's kind of dial it in just a little bit more. Okay. I'm not worried about being overweight or coming in overweight. Mm-hmm. I'm right on track where I should be. Okay. I woke up this morning at 187 pounds. still plenty of time. I have to be 181.5.
Okay.
Literally for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. You got plenty of time.
To go in, like get in my underwear, stand on scale, then I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
As soon as I get off that scale, I can get back up to 190 and it's legal because I have 24 hours to I lift.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's the shit. I love that.
Yeah. One you said 187 down to 181.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plenty of time.
And if being drastic, I could just do a straight up water cut and wouldn't even have to mess with my nutrition. But I'm trying to do this healthy and maintain strength.
Yeah.
When you start drastically cutting water, you lose strength.
Sure.
Like your muscles are water.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You suck everything out of it. There goes half your strength.
And then there's your
quick.
performance leading up to it and all that. So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I actually have a couple questions for you all.
By all means.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. What exercises would you say transpose into real world application? So what's something that you would prescribe to your clients, or what's something you would tell a friend that would help them on a day-to-day quality of life type thing?
So as a trainer,
Good question.
I believe in the core four. I believe in bench press, deadlift, overhead press, and the squat. I believe that if you build programming based on that and then whatever else you want to spiderweb out, I think that that's the ultimate importance. I value that higher than cardio. I value that higher than anything. I think that strength training is the ultimate. Put me on record as it. But starting there, so let's say you can't do, let's say you can't do a weighted squat with a barbell, then it starts with, let's say you can't even do a regular squat. It starts off with a box squat. And we've talked about this a little bit. Yeah. There's adaptations of the squat. There's adaptations of the bench. There's adaptations of all the core four. But I think that you have to start there, and that needs to be the core four. But Jenna, Josh and I are personal trainers. Jenna is not. She is a nurse. But you...
She's not a cool kid.
But she's gained a lot of knowledge on her own personal journey, and of course, through help from me. But this is something that I've never asked Jenna. So that's a really good question. Okay. Throughout your learning process, what have you found as the most important pieces for you? Like mine is the core four. Like I can tell you very easily, but what is yours?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a similar answer to that as well. Following other women on social media and other platforms, I've tried to start, getting fancy with, these crazy movements. And really when I get back to just the basic movements, a squat, a lunge, basic core work, just trying to do a not sissy push up.
Now, would you
really helpful.
Would you categorize that in like 3 or 4 different movements, or like upper, mid, lower, or how would you classify that?
I don't know. I'm not a personal trainer.
Well, no, because when you say like the core basics, like what is that to you? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I know. The person who doesn't know the names of most things. And let me tell you, my personal trainer that lives in my home with me and does all of my personal training, I have no idea what most of these movements are. There's something, what did I call for the longest time? A marshmallow squeeze?
Marshmallow squeeze was a bent over row. Mm-hmm. Well, that was but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. So she was when I was trying to teach her to contract her back, I said, think of there's a marshmallow in the middle of your back, and that you need to squeeze your back and try to crush that marshmallow. And for some reason, that stuck in her head.
Okay, yep. For whatever reason, I'm picturing you just like squeezing the shit out of the Michelin Man. I'm like, how is that a big number? Okay, I like that.
So what would you say to that? I'm interested.
So I'm with the core four with compound movements, obviously. Okay. The compound movement is going to be the best beneficial thing you can do overall.
Sure.
I would, if I had to limit it to a couple things, I would limit it to 2 moves.
Okay.
The deadlift and the farmer's walk.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because at no point in time in my life have I ever had something on my back that I had to squat down and stand back up with.
Sure.
No point in time in my life have I had something laying on me that I had to press off. Like, never been trapped under a car, never had any heavy females lay on me. We can edit that But there have been times in my life, working on jobs or working at your regular 9-to-5 job where there's something heavy on the ground that you got to pick up. There are also times in my life, specifically every Sunday, where I have to go to the trunk of my car, grab a bunch of groceries, and since I'm a man, I'm only doing it in one trip.
Yeah,
and walking inside.
Default.
That's a deadlift. That's a farmer's walk.
Yeah,
all day.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Got a good one. The big and bulky myth.
Okay. We've talked about this before. The concept of, and I think this is very specific to women.
Yes.
Very specific 100%. To women that if I lift weights, I'm going to get big and bulky. Let me tell you something real quick. I've been working on this 10 years and I've been working on this bulky thing for a long time and I'm still not there. Okay. All right. So I mean, there's so much behind this that makes me roll my eyes every time. Usually this comment is made out of ignorance.
Yes.
It's always, it's always someone that is not keen to understanding it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's a cop out too.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
I've never heard that.
I love that.
I like that.
I think it's a cop out.
I'm gonna give you a little hand of applause. That was good. That's a highlight right there. Go ahead.
Because you're reaching here by saying, "Oh, I'm not going to work out because I don't want to get big and bulky."
Yeah.
Like I got to tell you, that doesn't happen by accident.
No, it doesn't.
So that's going back to genetics. So let's say you're not putting any male hormones in your body.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, let's break it down there first. So male and female hormones, that's what determines this big and bulky look.
Yes. That's why I have testosterone.
Yeah.
That's why I look like this and Matt looks like that.
Yeah.
Jenna has estrogen.
Just such
that's
lower.
Why she is
just such lower test levels over here. No.
I'm taller. I got more.
It's true.
But I mean, if going back to genetics, if you growing up as a little girl, if you looked tomboyish, so if you looked like a linebacker as a 6-year-old, and then you start weight training, lifting heavy, you're going to have more of a V taper, X taper.
Sure. More aggressive.
Physique. Yeah. More hardline, aggressive physique. Yes. But if you're, if you were a regular,
dainty,
quote unquote, little girl, didn't look big and manly as a kid, you start weight training, you start lifting heavy, your physique is going to become more feminine.
Yeah.
Like you're going to become
That's
sexier.
What's interesting.
You're going to have bigger and nicer curves.
You might just be sharper, but it takes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few competitive bodybuilders. Actually, a good friend of ours, Jen Strobo. She's actually a pro. And when she's on stage, she is big and bulky and lean but she has devoted her life to that.
Yes.
Dana Lynn Bailey, she's also a person. I don't know if I've introduced Jenna. I don't know if I've ever introduced her to you. I don't know her.
I was
but
about to say, do you know her?
She's over there. No, Dana Lynn Bailey, she is the definition of a girl that is big and bulky, but it's because that girl that's what she's wanted to do. She loves that look. That's what she's after. But if you're not,
think she's ever taken anything?
I mean, that's all subjective.
Okay.
That's all subjective. I feel like anybody that's an IFBB pro that has done anything significant, how can you possibly compete being natural? That's me not being in the space. That's an assumption. I've never been on that stage, so who knows?
I've never been on the IFBB stage. I would have to agree with you.
For the record, anybody that's listening, IFBB is the International Federation of Bodybuilding. It's the pinnacle of physique.
Top tier.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Olympia is like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. So
yes.
And I want to say something, just an observation of hearing the type of person that tends to say, I don't lift weights because I don't want to get big and bulky, tends to be the type of person that if that were to happen by accident, that would take years of training to accidentally happen.
Seriously.
It's not the fit athletic person that's saying that. It's the person who, in my opinion, is using it as a cop-out.
That's I've never thought of that, but that's such a good point. And it's so interesting because, like you said earlier, when a female starts doing deadlifts and squats and all that, I mean, it's really interesting what happens to their body. You sort of expect it from a man, but when you put somebody on a bar that's a female, you're right. Like they just become sharper, and it's a very appealing look, and it's just them pushing their body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we hit that topic.
Yeah, I do like that.
I love that.
Now thinking about it, I've
it's
never
true.
had even an athletic female tell me that I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to be big and bulky.
Big and bulky. It's true.
Yeah, because they know better than that.
Yeah, it's normally
Yeah, and
I think that some people believe that though, and it may be a cop out as well.
Yes.
yeah, but it's intentionally not educating yourself about how you could do better. It's just using, well, I don't want to look like that. Well, I got to tell you, you don't end up looking like that by accident or by even just going to the gym and working out on your own.
It's born of ignorance.
Those people that are big and bulky and competing, they have multiple coaches. They do that full time on purpose. That's not an accident.
Nope.
So
even if it's not your job to be a competitor, that's still your life. Like if you have a 9 to 5 to pay your bills, that's what it is. It's to pay your bills.
Right.
If you could get paid for lifting, you'd be doing it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And kind of to tie it all back in with strength and functionality, can you gain strength or size solely from functional training?
Say it one more time.
Can you gain strength / size solely from doing functional training?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
What do you think?
Hell no.
Okay, there you go.
Hell no.
Define for me functional training.
Please.
Anything that's not a compound lift.
Compound.
I'll classify it like that because I mean we could spend an hour talking about the differences between the two, but it's a compound lift.
And a compound lift is a multi-joint movement, so the deadlift, the squat, the red press, the bench, all that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
Whereas functional training would be anything full body, so
hit stuff,
body weight stuff,
burpee, blah blah blah.
So do you think you can gain size or strength from just functional?
So what do you?
I guess it depends on your baseline.
Well, what do you know about build? Like, what is it that builds muscle? Like, what type of training do you know builds muscle?
I don't know.
It's hypertrophy.
Okay.
Hypertrophy literally means the building of the muscle, break it down, build it more, and that's typically in that 3 to 12 rep range. So anyway, my answer is no. I don't believe that you can solely gain size from this. No.
And I wouldn't even say you can gain real strength as well. You may gain some strength, yes, because you're putting a stressor on the body.
Yep.
The body is going to adapt or it's going to die.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So you're going to gain some strength, yes, but don't mistake that for actual strength.
That was a good question to bring up. It brings a lot of context. I like that.
I think it boils back down to what your goals are too.
Absolutely.
What you're trying to accomplish.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I have to bring up the point since we're sitting in here.
Yeah.
We've repainted this entire house. How many times?
4 times.
Every room in this house.
I like that.
But this room was different because the last time we painted, I hadn't started working out.
Oh, wow. I was wondering where you were taking this. Okay, go ahead.
This room, we painted twice in less than 2 hours, and I did not use a ladder. And it's just that like extra, like I wasn't exhausted in the middle of it like I would normally take a break because it's a full body workout to paint a room.
You were just Josh. You were just painting not long ago. Or wait, are you still painting?
No,
you finished it.
We finished Monday. Okay. Me and my girlfriend busted our ass Monday to get our bedroom painted.
Yeah,
it's a hard workout, but I was able to stretch far enough to get the roller all the way up to the ceiling.
Yeah,
which even a year and a half ago, I was up and down on the stupid ladder.
I love that.
So would you say getting stronger has helped you with your day-to-day quality of life?
Absolutely.
Your activities of daily living.
What?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just the simple stuff. Like, it was just this light bulb moment. One day I had to bring like 4 gallons of orange juice into work one day, and we park like a ridiculous distance away from the hospital. And I had my dorky little rolly bag for work and all 4 gallons of orange juice and just hiked on in, and it wasn't a big deal. And halfway in, I was like, this would have taken a couple trips before. And I can't say that my arms weren't a little shaky by the time I got there.
Yeah, but you could manage
But I could do it. Yeah. So.
Well, this has been absolute fire. I've really, really enjoyed this. Do either one of y'all have anything else? I think that was really good.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
We did. That was awesome. Josh, our first video podcast guest.
Hey.
I'm so excited. Like, I'm so fired up for this. This is so fun. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are listening, go check us out on the BTYE podcast YouTube channel.
And the BTYE Instagram.
Yeah, we got an IG now.
We need to link that to Matt Lane Fitness page.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
thank you.
Yep. This has been fun. Thank you so much, guys. We will talk to you guys next week.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday every day.